So I made a Joe Biden attack ad for everybody that I'm going to show you here. I did this with Trump in 2016 as well. I did an attack that, I think I made it during the primary, but it may have been during the general election. I really don't remember, to be fair. But I called it Terrorist Don because Trump very famously went on Fox and Friends and casually was like, we have to take out their families. We have to take out their families. Talking about the families of terrorists. And so I thought, this is like any reasonable person hears that and goes, whoa, you want us to murder civilians on purpose? That means we're terrorists. So I cut that out and I ran an ad and I thought it was a very powerful attack ad, but of course it's not the direction that any of the other Republican candidates or Hillary would have went in because they don't know what the hell they're doing. So this is an example of an attack ad that can and should be used against Joe Biden. However, I'm going to tell you up front, Bernie's team is not going to run with this. They're not. There's no way. Trump's team is more likely to run with this than Bernie's team is to run with this. But that shouldn't be the case. Bernie should run with this. Because, listen, I hate to tell you guys the truth here about this, but the polls are not looking good for the votes that we have coming tomorrow. And Bernie needed to flip the narrative and go aggressive against Biden and say, he's unelectable, I'm electable. He's unelectable, I'm electable. He's unelectable, I'm electable. I'm the moderate. I'm the centrist. I represent the people. He's Hillary Clinton 2.0. He will lose to Trump. I'm FDR. FDR won 4 times. I will win. He needed to be super aggressive. And one of the things you do is also show Joe Biden for what he is, namely corrupt. He is. Now, Bernie famously broke with his own surrogate, Zephyr Teachout, who wrote a book on corruption. She's an expert on corruption. She wrote a detailed article saying Joe Biden's corrupt. And Bernie was like, oh, no. Joe's a friend of mine. Joe's a good person, and he's not corrupt. Bernie's also now famously going around, and whenever he's asked this question, do you think Joe Biden can be Trump? He's saying yes. Oh, Bernie, what are you doing, Bernie? Like literally the last thing you should ever say in this situation, given that the electability polls, the most recent ones, have Biden at 51% and you at 28%. You can't say that. You have to say the exact opposite. So you have to go hard at Biden now. You have no choice. The situation is dire. So if you were to go at Biden the right way, here's what one of your ads would look like.
Joe's service in the Senate up to this point has not reflected any particular concern for the larger contributors.
Well, the fortunate thing is I didn't have many larger contributors, and the only reason... See, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talked about it. But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son. And so I had to go out...
Status Quo Joe. That's what I call that ad. Status Quo Joe will lose to Trump. You have to vote for Bernie. You cannot beat a fake populist with an elitist. You can only beat a fake populist like Trump with a real populist like Bernie. That's the only way. It's the only way. What you just saw right there is Joe Biden's true colors. He's an elitist. He's a corporatist. He sees the swamp around him, and he goes, this is just how it works. That's his thought process. What do you mean? What do you mean? The corruption to him is a duh. It's like, obviously I'm going to do this. This is what everybody does. This is how it works, right? But that's the problem. That's the problem. The problem is when Joe Biden went back to those big guys, the big donors, and they gave him money, there were strings attached to that money. There were strings attached. Why do you think it is that Joe Biden helped bail out Wall Street? Why do you think that is? Could it be because Wall Street always gives him money? Yes. Yes. That's why. When Wall Street crashes the economy and they bankrupt their companies, Joe Biden rushes in to save them. Is Joe Biden rushing in to save your local, dry cleaners? Your local deli that you go to grab a sandwich? If they go under, is Joe Biden going to run in and save them? No. Why? Because they haven't paid Joe Biden his bribes. The money from Wall Street is a bribe. The money from Big Pharma and the for-profit health insurance companies, it's a bribe. Joe's taken over $1 million from the health industry. What do you think's going to happen? Is he going to represent regular people, working people, or is he going to represent the industry? Answer, he's going to represent the industry. He already is. His healthcare plan still leaves 10 million people uninsured. Bernie's leaves 0 uninsured. You want to know why? He's raising money from the people. If you tell me Bernie Sanders is corrupt, I say corrupted by small donors, corrupted by working people. So who's he going to represent? The people who give him the money, the working people, the construction worker, the teacher, the cashier, the service sector employee. Fill in the blank. Regular people. That's who Bernie's representing, because that's who's funding him. In the case of Joe Biden, listen, man, you heard it. I don't need to say anything. You heard it right there. Casually, it's fun. I went to the big guys. I was ready to prostitute myself. But, they said, come back when you're 40. That's exactly what he did. He went back when he was 40. They've been funding him ever since. And this is exactly why Joe Biden votes how he votes. This is exactly why the bankruptcy bill. He led the charge on the bankruptcy bill. The bankruptcy bill made it so that you can't file for bankruptcy on your student loan debt. If you're up to your eyeballs in student loan debt, thank Joe Biden for that. He exacerbated this crisis. This is a guy who, on virtually every single core issue that defined our time, he was on the wrong side of it. The most important being the Iraq War. But the list goes on and on. One of the votes we haven't talked about a lot on this show, which I think is important to bring up, is his vote for the Patriot Act. And then the renewal of the Patriot Act years later, after we already knew that they were spying on us and they were collecting all of our metadata and they did not care about the Constitution and your protection from unreasonable search and seizure. They didn't care. Biden didn't care. Because he's, as Elizabeth Warren famously said, I'm just a player in the game. Yeah, everything's corrupt, and I'm going to partake in that because I'm just like everybody else. That's the problem, Joe. You're not even... Donald Trump is a fake populist. Biden's not even a fake populist. He voted for NAFTA. He supported permanent normal trade relations with China. And he did because he takes money from the industries. So Biden's not even a fake populist. He's an elitist. He's a corporatist. He will lose to Donald Trump. For the love of God, man. For the love of God. Vote for Bernie Sanders. You have to do it. The right is going to destroy him. They're going to obliterate him. Donald Trump's going to pivot to his left on many issues, and he's got cognitive decline. Again, I'm showing you this ad because I think it's important to show you who Joe Biden really is. I wanted to prostitute myself to the big donors, but they said, hey, man, come back when you're 40. It's exactly what he did, and he's been with them ever since.